Luke here. Well, the longest ever episode of Game of Thrones, The Dragon and the Wolf, has dropped like 40,000 tons of ice. There's a lot to discuss here, so let's get right into it and break it down like so much defense against the darkness. The story begins at King's Landing with the Unsullied and the Dothraki Screamers making a show of force outside the city. Atop the city walls, Jaime and Bronn have a discussion about eunuchs and how pointless life would be without their Dickens. Pay attention, that may come into play later. Jon, Tyrion et al. Arrive by ship and talk about how King's Landing is a hellhole, but at least the brothels are superior to those in the north. The Hound slips below decks because he can't miss an opportunity to taunt the undead. We see that the captured wight is still, finger quotes, alive. Cut to Cersei getting ready for the named character jamboree at the Dragon Pits, where she instructs the Mountain which order he is to kill everyone if things should go south. On the way to the Dragon Pit, we're treated to so many reunions and callbacks. We love them! Tyrion, Pod, and Bronn are all glad to be counted amongst the living. Brienne and the Hound discuss their previous dust-up, which was cool, but I was a little disappointed that Sandor didn't mention to her that she had a red-haired beauty waiting for her back in the north. Everyone arrives at the Dragon Pit, Fire and Ice Alliance first, then Cersei tries to be fashionably late, but is out-fashionably lated by Dany, who has decided to show off a little bit. Possibly suspecting trouble, Bronn takes Pod for a drink. Since almost every single remaining named character is in attendance, they start butting heads. First up is the Hound versus the Mountain. The Hound taunts his Frankenstein brother by suggesting that he will be the one to kill him, to which the Mountain responds by standing there. Next, Tyrion tries to get things underway when Euron decides that now is a good time to bring up Asha and taunt Theon. When he gets no response, he decides to make fun of Tyrion until Cersei shuts him down. Team Dany finally has the floor and discusses the Great War and how they should just put a pause on the smaller war for now. When Cersei's about 3 seconds from another Snarks and Grumpkins joke, the Hound returns with a white in a box. The way they set this up, I was ready to be super disappointed when he dumped out the box and the angry zombie had turned back into a corpse, like that stupid frog that would only dance when no one was looking.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
But fortunately for our heroes, the minion that had cost them a whole dragon performed beautifully, and Jon was able to give a very effective demonstration. Qyburn seemed duly impressed. Euron remembered he left the stove on in the Iron Islands and buggers off. Cersei seems to be convinced and will accept the truce, only if Jon will agree to not take sides. So after all that knee-bending, now they want him to not bend the knee to anybody. Jon, who cannot tell a lie, says that he already did some sweet knee-bending to Daenerys with no witnesses, so he can't possibly accept those terms. Wow, is that in character for a Stark? And before you object, remember that his mother was a Stark, so I can still say that. Brienne appeals to Jaime's honorless nature, but he's like, what do you want from me? At this point, Tyrion decides that the best course of action is to try and talk to his sister. We get this hilarious shot of the mountain and the molehill, and Tyrion is in the lion's den. After being angry at each other for a bit, things come to a head when Tyrion insists that Cersei ordered Gregor to kill him. Cersei doesn't take orders from anyone, though, so she refuses, and we get this great little relieved moment from Tyrion before he goes to pour himself some liquid courage. They get back to talking about the undead problem, and Tyrion realizes Cersei is pregnant. But is that just what she wants him to think? Back in the pit, Jon and Dany talk about dragons. Dany mentions her infertility again, and Jon says he doesn't believe it. So, I suppose we can expect another incest baby soon. Cersei returns to the pit and announces that she will not only hold off aggressions against them, but will join their fight. This is not what I expected would happen at all, and I was actually pretty intrigued to see where this was going. Up north in Winterfell, Sansa laments that she didn't go to King's Landing for the main character hoedown, and Littlefinger makes a plot prediction about Jon and Dany, then gives her some bad advice about dealing with Arya. On Dragonstone, Dany's posse prepares for the trip north, and Jon and Dany decide that it will look best if they sail north together. Theon talks to Jon about how pathetic he is. Jon tells him to suck it up and go rescue Yara, so Theon goes to get the Ironborn. He gets in a fight and is beaten pretty badly until the guy he's fighting tries to knee him in the crotch. Theon doesn't appear to mind, so I guess this means Ramsay took both the sausage and the meatballs? Still, you'd think that no matter what was or wasn't there, he'd be pretty hurt by a knee to the groin. But I guess no peen, no pain? Worst superpower ever. Back north, Sansa and Bran summon Arya, and, in a somewhat shocking twist, they all accuse Peter Baelish of murder and treason. I say that this is shocking because the whole thing really doesn't make any sense. If the two girls were in on it the whole time, why were they having all those creepy conversations when no one was looking? If they were really at each other's throats, how did that get reconciled? There was some pretty serious contempt and mistrust there. Did Bran have something to do with that reconciliation? They didn't mention it. Oh well, I haven't been happy with the northern plotline for a while, so an unsatisfying ending is to be expected. Anyway, Sansa lays out the plot from the first 3 seasons that we all knew, but none of the other Northerners did, making me wonder why they just went along with it without any real evidence, but whatever. Then Arya kills Peter, and that's that. Back down south, it turns out that the interesting turn was just more plotting from Cersei. Apparently, she and Euron had this coward thing all planned out in advance, and he's off to get the Golden Company. They didn't know there was going to be a White at the meeting, though, so was the plan just look for some excuse to betray me publicly so people don't wonder where the Iron Fleet has disappeared to? Jaime is pissed she didn't let him in on the plan and tries to storm off, but the Mountain stops him. He eggs Cersei on to order the Mountain to kill him, but again, Cersei doesn't let anyone tell her what to do, so she lets Jaime walk out. Is he leaving with the army, or is he just going north solo? I guess we'll find out next year. Sam arrives at Winterfell and has the best reaction in the show so far to Bran announcing he's the Three-Eyed Raven.
Three-Eyed Raven. Oh. I don't know what that means.
We then find out that Bran wants to tell Jon about Jon's heritage and that he's not nearly as omniscient as he thought he was. Also, Jon is really named Aegon, which was also the name of Prince Rhaegar's formerly legitimate son with Elia Martell, so kind of a dick move naming another son that. As predicted, Jon and Dany get it on for some sweet aunt-nephew action while Tyrion stands in the hallway looking uncomfortable. Sansa and Arya are on speaking terms again, or were they always? And we finally get to hear the line about the lone pack surviving or whatever. Bran wargs his way to Eastwatch as Tormund and Beric see the army of the Night King arriving at the wall. Then, zombie dragon! Blue fire! Wait. Is that blue fire he's breathing, or is it just some kind of energy blast? It's blue, just like all the eyes of the army of the undead, so maybe it's the same kind of magical energy that controls them? Oh wait, something just happened. He's turned the 8,000-year-old wall into a pile of ice cubes so that the army can pass through. Looks like all the real estate value around Winterfell just took a huge hit. So it seems like the Night King had intentionally set a trap for Dany to capture one of her dragons all along. That's probably why they were meandering their way to the wall. They were waiting for a dragon. So is the whole reason the army of the dead started south in the first place because the Night King somehow knew the dragons had returned to the world and that he could use one to finally break down the wall and also how to get it there? I don't know. Maybe? That's all for this recap. Join me in a few days for a full season recap, review, discussion thing, where we look at everything that's happened and speculate on the future of the show. Until then, like, sub, hit the bell. You know what to do.